over to Nick. Nick is it's a family-owned business, so I'm going to say one of the owners of Volivoli Beach Resort. And Volivoli Beach Resort is I say this a lot about the ones that we have presented today, but there's a reason we asked them to present. This is a favorite of ours as well. Not just myself, but a number of the Deep Blue team. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Nick and Volivoli Beach Resort, and he's going to take you away to Fiji.
Wonderful, Cheryl. Thank you very much for that introduction. And just as you jumped in, I was actually thanking the entire team at Deep Blue Adventures for coming up with such a great concept and then implementing it. It's all very well and good to have a great idea, but what you've pulled off is nothing short of spectacular. And I'm sure that all the people out there listening, you know, are very appreciative. It's an extremely tough time for everybody. It's an uncertain time. We don't really know what's going on, which I think is what the majority of us are struggling with the most, is just that uncertainty and not knowing. And, you know, to put this together during this time, and you know, you guys as travel agents have had a really tough run over the last few weeks, and you've been busier than anyone could have, and for no return. So, you know, thank you to all of the clients, our mutual clients that are now patching in to listen to us and also the previous presentations, and again tomorrow. You know, we can't wait to see you guys all again, and I hope you've enjoyed it. But Cheryl and the team, thank you so much. Please bear with me. I'm certainly not an expert at presenting via a webinar platform, but what I've put together today is just a bit of a Volivoli in a nutshell. And if you don't mind, I'll start by expanding a little bit more on what Cheryl said. We are a family business. We're family owned and operated. I think some of the people listening today have been there, and I hope that they had a great time. We're looking forward to welcoming them back. But being a family business, much as Deep Blue Adventures is, you know, what's important to us is our clients, and we live there. We're on site. We get to meet the vast majority of our clients, and share a beer and some stories, and maybe a cocktail or two at Volivoli, and that's what we like the most. And you know, to give you an update on the current situation, we're in a holding pattern. We've suspended operations, and we did that very early on in the piece for a couple of reasons. One was obviously it was going to be difficult for clients to get there, but also we wanted our staff to be able to be at home and be safe and be with their families. So we're keeping the resort customer ready at the moment. And if you don't already, please go on and follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website, where we're giving frequent updates. I actually got the last scheduled flight out of Fiji because my family have been down in New Zealand, and I didn't want to be separated from them. I've got 3 young kids and a dear wife, so obviously it's important to me to be with them, and I'm very lucky that we've got such an amazing team and family at Volivoli. We've got my brother Steve, his wife Natalie, my mum and dad, and Simon and Geraldine, and the entire management team are still on site at Volivoli, keeping the place ready. You know, we have a traineeship that we're still pushing those guys through, and we're doing some con ed for our dive masters. We're going through and doing all those little jobs and bits and pieces that you often don't have time to do, or you'd like to do slightly differently. So Volivoli's never looked better. The only issue is we just have no customers. So thank you for tuning in today, and we sincerely look forward to welcoming you guys in the very near future. If you haven't been down to Fiji, you can see from this map where we are. We have great connectivity in normal times from San Fran and LA with daily flights. You know, and we have the majority of our business is out of North America. It's a 10-hour flight down to Fiji. It's certainly not a short flight, but it's a red eye. We pick you up at Nandi International Airport, which is down. If you look in the bottom bubble there, you can see Nandi on the west coast, and it's a 2.5-hour transfer directly to the resort. So what that means is you're going to be landing around 5 a.m. in the morning. 2.5 to 3 hours later, you're at Volivoli, checking in, and you can be shore diving, doing a checkout dive after your briefing on the first day. You know, the flights and the connectivity to Fiji works really well. It's a red eye both ways, so you're typically leaving LA around between 10 and 11 p.m. And arriving 2 days later, essentially, in Fiji at 5 a.m. So you're not missing any time. And on the way home, you get those 2 days back. You're departing Fiji at around 10 p.m. and you land in LA between 12 and 1 p.m., which gives you a lot of time to catch connections back home if you need to, or if you're on the West Coast to drive, which makes it nice and easy. Welcome to the heart of Fiji. So, like I said earlier, we're a small family-run business in Fiji, and we're on the northernmost coast of Viti Levu, the main island, and we dive in the Bligh waters. We are an award-winning 4-star resort, and looking at the screen now, you can see it says there, island experience with mainland convenience. We're so fortunate in the fact that we're on the northernmost tip of the island, so we have 270-degree ocean views with the convenience of being able to transfer to and from 24/7. That means those of you who may not be divers and you're still coming on a vacation, you can get off the resort, you can go into town, which is only 15 minutes away, take a taxi, we can arrange all of that for you very easily. And you know, you can get out and about and do lots of other activities as well, which I'll talk about in a little minute. Do you need anything more than those 3 things? I mean, dive shop, a beach, and a bar. Really, I should stop the presentation now. We have a nice big swim-up pool with a pool bar at one end. We also have this available if you're coming and you're doing some extra training in the swimming pool. You're welcome to use that. The pool bar opens from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. daily. We do have 3 bars at the resort. So we have the pool bar, which you're looking at now. We have the Nuku bar, which is up on screen now, where you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then we also have a beach bar. So breakfast at Volivoli starts from 6:30 a.m. and there is a continental buffet or a tropical buffet. All of your meals would be included with any packages that the wonderful team at Deep Blue can provide you, offering up a buffet breakfast plus a cooked breakfast if you wish. It's self-serve tea and coffee in the morning. You can help yourself to toast, fruit, muesli, croissants, danishes, those sorts of things. And then if you want a cooked meal like a burrito, breakfast burrito, or bacon and eggs or eggs Benedict, something like that, you simply order that and it's cooked fresh to order, which works quite well. Something that's very important, especially where you are right now, cocktails. It's not quite time for me yet. I'm a bit like Cheryl. I'm on the caffeine fix for now, but it will be 12 o'clock in 50 minutes. I'll be allowed to have a beer. But we have a great bar, excellent staff that know how to make all your old classics. Something we've focused on over the last couple of years has certainly been the food and beverage. Something that's very important to people and on their vacation is that they don't go home feeling hungry and that they enjoy the meals they have. Additionally to that, there's a lot of allergies out there, and some places you go may not be able to cater to those. We're really proud of the fact that we have an amazing team in our kitchen that can cater to any dietary requirement. So if you are one of those people that has an allergy or just some different preferences, we will ask you, the Deep Blue team will ask you for those dietary requirements ahead of time. But if you don't get that information through, not to worry. We'll ask you again at check-in, and you can at any time ask to speak to the chef or the food and beverage manager. We're more than happy to accommodate you any which way we can. And I'm pretty confident you're not going to go home feeling hungry. In fact, you may be putting weight on for the trip home. sorry if you can hear a little possum in the background. That's one of my kids climbing a tree. Carter, I'm presenting, mate. Can you be quiet? So, where did we get to? I got a bit distracted. I mentioned about meals, and we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included in your package. And for the vast majority, it will be in the nuku bar. And then, as you can see on the screen right now, you can see what's called a traditional meke, or a dance, a performance. On every Thursday night, we close the main bar and we actually head down to the beach bar, the Ra bar, where the dive shop is. That's where we'll have a cocktail hour every evening. And on a Thursday, we'll also have a meke, a traditional dance and performance, which you all get to partake in, and get up and have a sing and a dance with the group that come in to perform, followed by a lovo. So lovo is the traditional way of cooking in Fiji. So all of the food is prepared in an earth oven, and it takes the majority of the day. The preparation starts in the morning, the fire is lit, and then once the fires and the coals burn down and heat the rocks up, the food's then placed on top of it and covered with banana leaves, and then dirt again, or soil, to cover it and let it steam up, which is beautiful. After that, of course, we have to partake in some kava. Those of you who haven't had it, it's delicious. Just think of fine champagne, French champagne, and the complete opposite of that.
We are the ones that have had kava are sitting here grinning, Nick. I know it's funny when you're out there and you can't see everybody's responses, but yeah, I mean, it's basically dirty sock water, guys. Oh, Gary DeMont likes it, so.
Yeah, it pretty much is. What I like about it, and I think the key attraction is that it's the social element that's important to me. You know, you're sitting down, it's a very traditional drink. It's a time to sit and talanoa, which means sit and talk and share stories. And our team, and not just at Volivoli, but everywhere in Fiji, what sets us apart from a lot of other nations is the genuineness of the people, and their willingness and their want to share their stories and their experiences, and have you share their experience with them. Any of you out there listening right now, I'm sure, are nodding your head saying, you know, yeah, man, those guys are in Fiji, not, like I said, not just Volivoli, but anywhere you go in Fiji, the people are just so genuine. You know, the biggest full of smiles that you could ever imagine, and it's such a wonderful place to be. You know, I miss it. I'm down in Fiji and I can't wait. Sorry, I'm down in New Zealand. I just can't wait to get home. And last night I had a couple of drinks with my wife and we had a house party. She said to me, "What do you miss about Fiji?" And I was a bit shocked and taken back by the question. And she said, "You know what I miss? Is I miss Shide, and I miss Geraldine, and I miss Seti. You know, it's the staff and the people." And I was quite taken back by that, because it's not until you actually take time to digest your situation that you realize what it is that you actually miss. Anyway, back to Volivoli. We have various levels of accommodation at Volivoli. What's in front of you right now is our 2-bedroom family villa. And you can see from the top left square and the bottom left square, the 2 bedrooms, which are separated by a large living room with a open kitchenette, they can either be made up into twin singles or into a king double. Each of those bedrooms is en-suited as well with their private bathroom. And then in the lounge, there's a further 2 single beds. So in the top right, if you can see that there's 2 beds in the living room as well. So if you're a larger family, or you know, 2 couples that are happy to travel and share accommodation, this is a great option for you. It makes it a little more affordable per person. It has amazing views, a large veranda, which you can see in the bottom left corner there, which overlooks the ocean. It's nice and close to the bar and restaurant area. It represents excellent and exceptional value for money, especially if you're utilizing all 6 beds. I will say every accommodation offering at Volivoli has ocean views. Like I said earlier, we are on a headland and we have 270-degree ocean views, which is nice. So you don't need to worry, regardless of what accommodation you choose to take. They have exceptional views and you're going to be very happy. All are air conditioned, en-suited, fly screens, etc. It is the tropics, you know, bugs and things do live there. So we do our best to keep them out of your room for you. We just recently added 4 new accommodation options to Volivoli, which are our luxury oceanfront villas. Each of those has a private swimming pool out the front. They're a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom option, and the top left is just a floor plan that you can look at. They're rear access, so there's nobody, it's very private. You enter from the rear, and then I'm not sure if you can see, but where it says second ensuite there, that opens up to the patio. So if you're using the swimming pool throughout the day, you can come and go into that bathroom, which is in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. So that's what we call, we phrase as a wet bathroom. You can utilize that as your changing room essentially, but it is the ensuite for the second bedroom. And then there's 2 steps up to the master bedroom. These were built with families in mind, so perfect for mum and dad and 2 kids. Again, if you're 2 couples that are happy to share, this is another option for you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 of these and they're side by side. So if you're traveling with friends and you take out more than one, we can open up, there's a gate that we can open up so you can go between them. Where normally that would be locked and closed. But if you do know your neighbors, you can then socialize with them from a responsible distance, of course. These are our most luxurious offer. They face west to get beautiful sunsets. You can just see in the top right there, one of the dive boats. That's how close you are to the beach. They're overlooking Malaki Island, spectacular views. And we've got our premium ocean view villas. These are a standalone fixture. We have 11 of them. Great for couples. They have a small kitchenette, a nice big fridge, so you can buy a couple of bottles of wine on your way in or a few beers and keep them in your fridge to watch the sunset from the privacy of your own balcony. Something else that these rooms offer, which isn't all that glamorous but does make a big difference, especially for divers, is all of our villas have a clothes washing machine, so you can you know, do a load of washing at your own leisure throughout the week, which with the airlines makes a big difference. As we know, with divers, especially those that are photography, luggage weight becomes a bit of an issue when traveling internationally. So you can afford to bring a few less clothes and be able to do some washing whenever you like. Then we'll move down to our deluxe ocean view. These are fantastic if you're sharing accommodation with someone else, and we built these rooms specifically for group travel, and with group travel in mind. They have 2 of everything. So there's 2 double beds, 2 writing desks, 2 luggage racks, double vanities in the bathrooms, nice and spacious, incredible ocean views, really, really comfortable, great air conditioning, and work really well. These rooms don't have a washing machine in each room. They're more of a hotel style room, but at the end of this block, there is a communal washing machine and clothesline that you can use up there. Something I didn't say, and maybe you're doing this already, but if you've got questions, guys, type them in the chat box and the girls will let me know as they pop up. Please feel free to ask any questions. You know, I'm here to answer any of those questions you might have today. And then we've got our ocean view rooms. We have 8 of these. So this is our lead-in room category. It represents the best value for money. They're a slightly smaller room with a queen bed and 2 singles, huge veranda outside. If you're the type of diver where you know that you're going to spend the vast majority of your time out diving or being at the swimming pool or in the bar, and you're literally just going to be in your room at night to sleep or to recharge your batteries, these are perfect. There's 8 in a row, very close to the dining room. Again, something you may have noticed too is that all of the accommodations are elevated. So if you have mobility issues, it is certainly something that you want to ask the team at Deep Blue about. We can cater to disabilities. However, we certainly don't meet the American disability standards. We have a golf cart that can pick you up from your room if you have, issues with steep inclines, or else we can put you into, where possible, and if we know in advance, we can do our best to accommodate you closer to the facilities. Don't take it as a daunting fact, but it's the tropics. We live a long way from anywhere. It's very remote. It's what we love about it. There's no phones in the rooms. There's no televisions in the rooms. However, there is good, reliable internet. So if you need something from the front desk, you can always message them from your phone or from your tablet, and we can certainly help you out that way. But all of the accommodation is very comfortable. Like I said earlier, air conditioned, en-suited, lovely views, etc. Something that's important after a long journey is, of course, a massage or multiple days of diving. We've got a wonderful day spa on site that offers up individual treatments only at this stage. We outsource that to a spa company, and they do a great job. Some of you who are listening may have been to Volivoli. I'm sure you went and saw Vicar and got an amazing massage. The feedback we get on her is just simply incredible. So that's something that you can either pre-book or just book on arrival or at any time throughout your stay. Being a dive-focused resort, it obviously, our priority is to get you guys out there diving and enjoying the wonderful underwater wonderland that we have. That means that you're not going to often get back to the resort till a bit later in the day, so don't panic. The spa is often open till 10 p.m. at night, so you can even get a massage just before you go to bed if you need. Now, the nuts and bolts of the operation. Something that we're really proud of is the fact that we consider ourselves Fiji's premier dive resort. We focus a lot on this. We are, and I'm sure you've heard this before, and apologies for the phrase, but it's a resort that's built for divers by divers. Both my brother and I are dive instructors. Our focus is diving. We have a state-of-the-art dive shop right on site. We take care of your needs. It's what I consider to be armchair diving. You should never have to carry your equipment. And then, of course, it's up to you if you prefer to carry your own equipment, maybe camera gear, etc. But if not, we'll do it for you. We'll pick up your equipment from your room on the first day. We'll let you know after your briefing where to put that. We'll then collect it, bring it down to the dive shop, wait for you to come down and help you set that up on the first day. After that, you really don't need to think about your equipment again. After diving, if you're not sure diving, your equipment will stay on the boats, and we'll rinse it and hang it up and have it dry, ready to go the following morning, with the exception of your wetsuit. So what we sort of recommend is that you wear your wetsuit off the boat, come over, and in the top left of your screen, you can probably see, hopefully you can see the hanging racks and the rinse tubs there. To the left of that you can't really see is there's 3 showers, so you can just have a rinse off, take your wetsuit off, dump it in the rinse tanks, and we'll wash it, hang it up. It'll be left out to dry for the day and then put away and stored in the dive shop overnight till the boys come in again in the morning at about 6 a.m. and they'll bring it all out. So after breakfast, simply meander down to the beach. It's a 30-second walk from the restaurant to the dive shop, along in behind the mangroves, and pick up your wetsuit and your booties on the boat, and away you go. We typically will get away around between 8 and 8:30. Of recent times, we've been getting away at 8 o'clock. It seems that people don't mind doing that, but it is on a case-by-case basis. If we have groups in particular who want to get away a little bit later, we can do that alternatively, and we recommend going earlier, particularly in our winter months when our trade winds may pick up. They'll typically do that at around 10 a.m. So if we can, and we go east, so we're going into the trade winds, and if we depart at 8 or 8:30, we're on the dive sites before there's any wind typically anyway, and it's a following sea coming home, which isn't quite the back-breaking journey that it could be if you got away late. you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's our compressor room. Something that's important to us is people can walk into that compressor room at any time and check out where your air is coming from. At the end of the day, that's your lifeline, guys, and we take that very seriously. We check our air, we have it sent away for testing, etc. So you can go through there. We have polished tiles on the floor. We can always see if there's oil leaks or any issues. We are now diving about 90% of the time on nitrox. We're trying to get to 100%. We believe that everybody diving should be diving nitrox, especially when you're diving multiple days, you know, in a remote location, a long way away from anywhere. You know, it's going to maximize your safety and give you a better experience. We offer a 32% mix. And if you look, guys, if you're not currently nitrox certified, there's never been a better time to go online and do the certification. You know, a lot of people are sitting at home right now without a lot to do. You know, so the online certifications are great. We're actually running this week we're running, and into next week we're running a turtle ecology program. So if you want to go onto our website, we're running that. But consider this a good opportunity to further your diving knowledge at things like nitrox or any of the marine ecology programs. What a great opportunity to do that now from the comfort of your living room with a glass of wine or a beer. We literally have decades of experience. We're super fortunate to have an amazing team with us and working with us at Volivoli. The majority of the boys have been there in excess of 10 years. We do have a trainee program where we have an induction every 6 months. We're bringing young guys through and giving them an opportunity to get into the dive industry, which is something that's exciting, and we're getting great results from that. I'm not sure if this is going to play, so girls, if you could let me know if you can hear this. I don't know how it's going to go. If it doesn't click through, we'll move on.
Sure.
This is Paula, one of our instructors.
The music is playing.
A trip to Fiji, I think, is going to be a marvelous one because you're going to see a new family underwater. Everything there is amazing. It's flow down your stress and make your body more relaxed. I feel like I'm in paradise when I reach my favorite depths. I know some of the fish that have been named them, they're still around there on the strange spot. They're getting bigger and bigger, and then the corals, I see them slowly getting grown. It is amazing if you've been surrounded by corals and waters and blue waters, tropical fish. It's just like you're living in heaven.
So Paula has been part of the family for over 15 years, and his daughter and my daughter are learning to dive together. We've got, my daughter is turning 10 this year, so she's got her own dive gear. She loves it. She's into it. My young fella is only 7. He's into his free diving and can't wait to get on scuba. But like I said earlier, it's a family business, and we're all divers. We're all into it. You know, and that's why we're so excited every time we get new customers or repeat clients coming back. It's like welcoming our friends back. You know, not meeting a client, we find that people become our mates, which is quite nice. In front of you now, you can see the fleet of boats. We have 2 main dive boats.
Nick, real quick, I'm going to interrupt you. I don't know, is the picture complete? Like, you're coming through sound-wise just fine, but are the images on your laptop, are they in focus or are they fuzzy?
No, they're in focus.
Okay, I think actually it's rendering with the connection, so I don't think there's anything we can do about it. I mean, we can kind of see, but we can't see kind of details, which is a shame because I know everything's so pretty, but
Oh, no, that's no good. It might be my internet down here. So, because the pictures I'm looking at right now, can you see any of the boats?
We can see them, but I mean they're quite pixelated.
Oh no, that's no good.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sure what we can do about that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything we can either. So hopefully it'll fix itself in a minute. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, perhaps what we can do then, Cheryl, is I can share this. This is a presentation on Google Drive, so I could share this with you and your presentation that I'm giving now. Is that something you'd want to do?
Yep, that sounds wonderful. Thank you. Oh no, Nick, we're losing you now, sound-wise as well.
Is hang on. Look here.
Yeah, Nick, we can kind of hear
Do you want to
you.
let me know once you can hear me again? I'll...
There you are. We got you. No.
Okay, you can hear me now. Have the pictures cleared up at all?
No, but that's okay. As long as we can hear you, we'll power through it.
All right, well, bear with me. I'll speed up a little bit. And guys, for you listening at home, just have another beer. We've got two main dive boats that we dive off, and a third backup boat, as well as a dedicated snorkel boat. So all of the dive fleet are powered by twin 300 Suzuki. So they're high speed. They get us to where we need to go quickly, and get us home safely as well, which is nice. One of the advantages of running a consistent engine through the whole fleet is if we do have an issue, we can always maintain those easily. We've got on-site mechanics that work for us permanently, full-time. So if we do have issues, which does happen, we do have breakdowns, but we get those dealt with quickly. Fingers crossed, touch wood, to this day, we've never not been able to complete someone's dive package, which is nice. Then into the diving. Sadly, you can't see these pictures, but the diving in Fiji really speaks for itself. It's known as the soft coral capital of the world. We have an amazingly healthy ecosystem. The Vatuira Conservation Park, which Volivoli played an integral part in setting up. It has
yeah, you're very much, you're going in and out, Nick. Sorry. I know, it's so sad. We can see some really pretty colors, but
saying, Cheryl, is I was talking about the Marine Conservation Park, or the Vatuira Conservation Park, and something for people to be aware of is that there is a 15 Fijian dollar park fee that will be charged to everyone's room checkout bill. A typical package at Volivoli will have everything else covered: accommodation, transfers, diving, and meals. But there will be 15 Fiji dollars, which is around $7.50 US, is the conservation park fee that we collect on behalf of the Vatuira Conservation Park. There's some incredible macro up where we're diving. We're finding new things every day. We've got we have out in the dive sites as well as off our shore. Very poor visibility, but there's a lot to see. There's resident seahorse.
oh no.
Great for the. Hello, I think I've lost you.
Hey, we can. I mean, you're going very much in and out. We're all still here and we're hanging in there with you, but you are definitely going in and out.
Is there a way I can try to reconnect, or?
Yeah, Carrie, are you able to make me the host or something like that and get Nick out and back in again?
Yep, so Nick, I'm just gonna, you're gonna have to close your window and then come back in, because if I push you out, you can't join back in. So just kind of close the program and leave, and then try and come back
Okay,
maybe.
so I stop share. Okay, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, everybody else stay with us. We got a couple of questions. Most of them I wanted to let Nick answer for himself. I prefer to let the resorts do that rather than us do it for them. But while we're waiting for him to connect, a couple of people were asking what muck diving is or critter diving is. Muck diving, it's not messy like it sounds. Muck is something that you tend to find typically in Indonesia, areas of the Philippines, and there's a little bit of it that you can find now and again, not quite as vibrantly, but there are areas of the Caribbean and also in Fiji. And basically what muck diving is it's very, very fine grains of sand, typically dark sand. And there's lots of weird little critters that live in there. And when we say critters, we're talking about little small stuff. That would be, it could be shrimp, it could be crabs, it could be any kind of small, tiny little things. Some of them are microscopic. So when we talk about critters, we're talking about the little weird and wonderful stuff. The one picture that he was on when he left, and we've got a brochure that we can give you that basically that's what he's presenting from. He was actually, if anyone noticed, like right now, yeah, that looks a lot better, Nick. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. And your pictures are coming through too. So this is a perfect example of macro diving, which is tiny, tiny diving and tiny little animals. If you can see, like, for example, that's a little spiny lobster in the bottom left corner. I mean, these things are miniature, not necessarily microscopic, but they are tiny. So when we are talking about critters, that's what we're talking about, those little kind of shrimp nudies, tiny lobsters, little tiny fish, things like that. And they can be found in a very fine sand. A little sandy bottom that they tend to hide in or live or feed in. And so that sandy area that you kind of go over is what muck diving is. So Nick, I'm going to hand it back to you. There's just been a couple of questions on what muck diving is and what critters are. So I thought I'd share that while you were reconnecting.
Perfect. No, that's great. I caught most of that. Are there some questions here that you want me to address now, or shall I carry on?
If you want to answer some questions now. So do you conduct sunrise diving?
We can do. It's something that would be unguided. So if somebody wants to do a shore dive, a dawn dive, they're more than welcome to. All that we need and we require is to communicate with us so that we can make sure we have our staff or our security guards at that time of day will be there to open up the dive shop for you. So we'd set it up the night before, make sure all the equipment's there, tanks there, ready, everything's ready. So when you come down to the dive shop, you literally just pick it up and go.
Okay. Typically, how long are the boat rides to the dive sites?
Between 15 minutes to our local dive sites, and out to Batu Ra is between 25 to 40 minutes, depending on where we're diving on a particular day, but around half an hour.
Okay. Is there a decompression chamber on Fiji?
Excellent question. Answer is yes. It is not currently operational though. Before the shutdown, it was in the process of the commissioning, and I haven't had an update in the last 3 weeks, but I suspect once we're actually allowed customers back in Fiji, once the borders open, I suspect that will be operational again. It is there, it is in place. I've had photographs sent to me. On a side note, I chair the dive committee of Fiji, which is a subcommittee of the Fiji Hotel and Tourism Association. So I've been working pretty hard with government to get that in place. It's been a long, long time. It's a brand new unit that was built in Brazil and then shipped over to Fiji. And so the commissioning of that is happening literally as we speak.
Okay, great, thanks. In the meantime, where's the closest compression chamber?
New Zealand or Australia?
Okay.
So it would be a medevac.
Okay. Do you have any idea? I'm putting you on the spot there, but do you have any idea how long the medevac takes?
Yes. So that can be, there's a company in Fiji, HeliPro, who are a medevac service. They have a helicopter and a private runway. They can have, they typically have an aircraft on standby in Fiji. If it's not in Fiji, it can be there within 6 hours.
Okay, great. And then you're probably touching on this now, but one of the questions were what types of diving do you have there? Reefs, wrecks, depth, and what kind of depths? And we covered shore diving, so shore diving versus boat. But if you wanted to go on with your presentation, you're probably going to cover that. But there is the question as far as what types of diving, typical depths and things like that.
Absolutely. So the majority of our diving is going to be from boats, with the exception of just the shore diving on the 2 house reefs. But your diving package that you're purchasing will be, typically it's going to be a standard package would be 5 days of diving, 2 of which will be a 3-tank day, typically, not always. And those dives would be a combination of a moored up pinnacle dive, so what we call a bommy or a coral head. We have moorings on those sites. We would pull up, we'd ask everyone to give their attention to the dive masters. We draw a dive site map and give you a briefing. Then we'll drop down where the current, if there's current, we'll brief that and drop down, circumnavigate that bommy, or if there's multiple coral heads, it'll be lead. Maximum depth would be 30 meters. There's really no need to go any deeper than that, but that would be an exception to go that deep. The vast majority of the diving on our sites is between 20 meters or 60 feet, really around 60 feet for those of you who are tuning in. And Fiji's known also not only as the soft coral capital of the world, but it was voted world's best safety stop. So you're very, very rarely doing a blue water safety stop, which is great because it means that you get to utilize the entire dive for viewing and taking photographs. And the reef is that healthy. You can spend your entire dive in 1 square meter and not see everything. We don't limit people per se to anything. We recommend that we try and cap it out at around an hour. But the guys, our dive crew have been doing this a very long time, and one of the things they do really well is manage the people on the boat. So if we've got more experienced divers that like to dive for a bit longer, they'll typically be the first people in the water and the last out. As we know, there are people that are either new divers, or they just don't like to dive as long, or they consume a bit more air than others. And it's a long time on a boat if you're only in the water for half an hour and you've got other people diving well beyond that. So the crew do a great job of managing it. But to answer your question, it'd be a mixture of coral head diving, a little bit of drift diving where the boat will drift along with you and pick you up. But typically there'll be a moored site and you'll have dive master ratio of maximum 7 to 1 in the water. And obviously that changes, but more times or more often than not, it's no more than 5 divers to 1 dive master. Is that quick for you, Cheryl?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Another question here, we're going to put you on the spot. Stephanie Richardson asked, what is the rarest endemic species found only near Fiji, and can you see it on most dives?
Oh, can you repeat that? You just cut out.
Oh, sorry. What is the rarest endemic species found only near Fiji, and can you see it on most dives?
Oh, you really put it on the spot. I don't know the answer to that. What's the answer? And then I can tell you if we see it or not.
We stumped Nick. That's his homework, Stephanie. We're giving him homework.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take notes for my next presentation.
Well, you got to get back to us. We need the answer. You can't leave us hanging.
Oh, I'm scared to touch my computer in case it.
Oh, no, I
crashes
don't mean,
again.
I mean another time.
Okay, yes, of course, I will definitely do that.
Okay,
Hopefully before you.
We have a couple more questions, but they're more about the resort, the size and everything else. So while we're in the diving mode, I'd like to leave you to keep diving, and then we'll come back on the resort questions.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of the diving, like I said earlier, I was talking about nitrox. We highly recommend people diving nitrox for their own safety. You know, our guides are all diving on nitrox as well, and so where we can, we try and get them diving. Also, the depths that we're diving, a 32% blend gives you extended bottom time. It's a much safer way of diving. You've got less to be concerned about, and it's something that we're really trying to push at the moment. So anyone out there considering Fiji who may not be nitrox certified, please take the opportunity now, visit your dive shop, talk to them, reach out, maybe get certified, because it's a course that you can do from home. There's no need to do any diving per se. You don't do anything different from regular diving. It's just a different gas in your tank. The diving is a mixture of typically 2 dives in the morning, and then on a couple of days during the week, we'll do 3 dives where we take lunch with us on the boat, and we'll do 2 dives in the morning, have a nice long surf interval, have lunch somewhere in the lee before doing a 3rd dive, and then returning home. Now, when we're doing the 3 tank days, it can be, as I just explained, where we take lunch and we stay out on the boat. Alternatively, we can come back to the resort, have lunch, and then do an afternoon dive. So that just means that people can come back, have a nice leisurely lunch, and then head out on the boat again. Also, for those that may not want to do the afternoon dive, can relax around the resort. Also, additionally to that, some of you might be asking about night dives. You can dive off the beach at any time, morning, day, or afternoon. So morning, afternoon, or night, and you just need to communicate that with us so that the crew can bring your equipment off and put it in the dive shop, because as you remember I said at the start, your equipment will remain on the boat, and they sit on the moorings, so it'd be a bit of a swim out to get it. Night dives can be done either off the beach. If you prefer to do a boat dive in the evenings, we can do that. We'd need a minimum of 4 people to sign up, and that would be additional or surplus to your package. Okay, so that would be an additional charge which would simply go on to your room checkout bill. And on that, whilst at Volivoli, there's no need to bring a huge amount of cash. The resort itself is cashless, so you can't pay for anything along the way in cash anywhere except for at the reception, which makes it nice and easy. You simply charge things to your room for any miscellaneous items, of, you know, beer and wine, and or if you choose to go shopping in the boutique, etc. They all just room charges. I don't think I have too much more about the diving. So if there's any dive questions, maybe we can address those now.
I'm just looking, Nick, to see if there's any others. I think you covered it. I mean, we talked about nitrox and things like that. So I think we kind of covered the diving.
Oh, I've got a couple of things. So, you know, we have the cylinders that we use are aluminium or aluminum 80s. We've got a few 60s, a few smaller tanks for either smaller people or children or ladies that may want to use a smaller tank. We've got 6 or 7 of those, and it's essentially first in, best dressed for those. As likewise, we've got 4 hundreds, and there's an additional charge for those. So if you like to dive with a bigger cylinder, we can cater to that, but it is first in, best dressed. So, you know, if you're looking at a trip to Fiji and Volivoli, you know that you like to dive with a big cylinder, let us know as far in advance as you can, and we'll do our best to accommodate that. But the majority, we've got over 200 cylinders, and 99% of those are aluminium 80s. All of the tank valves have a screw-out yoke, so they're DIN adjustable. There's no need to bring your DIN adapter, we can simply screw out the yokes. There's also a range of rental equipment. If people don't want to bring their own, or they're new to diving and they want to rent equipment, we have a wide range of excellent rental equipment that people can use if they need to. Again, it's nice to have that information before people travel. You know, we do our best to accommodate people into equipment that fits them well. But the more we know in advance, the better. All of our lead is marked in 1, 2, 3, or 4 pound weights. So it makes it nice and simple. If you can do us a favor before you come, try to remember or note down in your logbook what the weight is that you're used to using. Makes it easier on that first day for us when we're getting everybody weighted up.
Great.
Hey, Cheryl. Sorry,
yeah.
I want to jump in real quick for Stephanie. So I did a quick search, and on Fiji Pocket Guide, I found 2 fish that are endemic to Fiji. It's an orange spotted scaleless goby and the bicolored foxface.
Yeah, there's a rabbit fish that's endemic to Fiji, I believe. But I didn't want to say that because I'm sure there's someone out there listening that knows better than I do.
Is there typically a significant current? Do most dive sites have current?
So no current, no fun in Fiji. The majority of your dives will be soft coral, fish, those sorts of things. You know, and a little bit of current open. It's the start of the food chain, essentially. So we want to have nude water. You know, one of the common misconceptions about diving in Fiji is that you're going to have 300-foot visibility. Now, typically places where you have, you know, amazing visibility like that, there's nothing to see. So you can see a long way, but you're looking at nothing. Fiji's visibility is certainly not bad, don't get me wrong. It's, you know, 60 to 80 feet, sometimes 100 feet. But there's so much life there that there's no need to see more than, you know, 20 to 30 feet. You know, and with that, there will be a bit of current, but we choose our site dependent upon that current. So what we'll do typically is the crew will pull up to a dive site, and you'll hear a splash. It'll be one of the dive masters literally jumping off the front or the back of the boat to have a look at how strong the current is, and they'll assess the situation in real time on location. Some people like to know where they're diving before they come. We're not a place that you can sort of tell us where you want to dive and we can go to that site, because it's entirely up to the captains and the crew on the day. Primarily, it's the captain's call for safety, and then secondly, these guys are out there diving it every day. They know where the best dives are going to be. We could put you on some of the best dive sites in the world, and if it's on the wrong current, it could easily be a boring dive. So you know, when you do arrive at Volivoli and you've done a bit of research, you've seen dive sites that interest you, by all means, let the crew know, and throughout the week, we'll get you to those sites, absolutely. But it just needs to be, we need to choose those sites depending on the current. So yes, we can have some current, and yes, it can be strong. But if it's too strong, we wouldn't put you in that situation, or we'd do it as a drift.
Okay, great, thank you. And John Charingen is asking typical duration times and prices for the spa massages.
The spa massages are typically 45 minutes or 1 hour. Uh-oh, you might be losing me again.
Hello?
Yeah, have you got me?
Yep, got you now.
Cool. So, and the prices really vary so much. I couldn't tell you. I don't have the price list in front of me, and I'm not on site at the moment. But to give you ballpark, for an hour-long massage is going to be around 70 US. It's 150 Fijian. But it depends on the treatment that you've chosen as well.
Right. Thank you. Do you need a reef hook?
We definitely recommend bringing one. If you don't, we do sell them. It's not mandatory, However, we highly recommend bringing one. It's great for your safety stock. You know, it's better for the reef. If you also can bring a nudie pointer, just something to, if you are experiencing a bit of current or you're trying to take a photograph, we obviously don't want people touching the reef. So using a pointer is a great way to keep yourself off the coral and from damaging it.
Okay, and this is kind of I'm asking this question kind of with two parts to it. So one question was, what size groups do you accommodate? And I'm going to kind of divide that up. Can you tell us sort of, because I know there's two different answers here, can you tell us the number of rooms you have, / assuming 2 people in a room, how many people you could accommodate, and then dive wise, how many people you can accommodate and the size of your dive boats?
Yep, absolutely. So we have 33 rooms at Volivoli. So, you know, if we simply double that, around 60 to 70 people on site. We cannot accommodate that many in diving. So the maximum number of divers that we can cater to is 36 over multiple boats. So we have a 16-pack boat, a 14-pack boat, an 8-pack boat. And it depends, we can mix that up too. We can do morning and afternoon sessions. But typically on a dive boat would be either on the bigger boats would be a maximum of 14, and you'd be diving with a maximum ratio of 7 to 1. Typically it's 5 to 1 or less. Now, if you're somebody that needs a little bit of extra assistance in the water, that's not a problem. You can hire a private guide for the week, or you know, if we know that in advance that somebody needs a little bit of extra help, we can often just put another dive master in the water with them. But there is an opportunity to hire a private guide for the week as well. That is an additional charge. We charge 150 Fiji dollars a day for a private guide, and that's butler service essentially.
Okay, great. What is the cost of a private guide? Do you know roughly?
150 Fijian dollars for the day.
Sorry, did you cut out there a little bit? Did you say 30?
About 5 years.
Sorry?
I wish. Oh, I think we're delayed now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you give me that number one more time, Nick?
Yes, it's 150 Fiji dollars per day. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is around 75. It's a bit less than that US at the moment.
When is the best time of year to go, and what are the water temperatures?
So Fiji has basically, we have 2 seasons essentially. We have our wet and our dry season. So we have our summer and our winter. The differences are, you know, obviously it's the tropics. We do get tropical rain. However, we're on the northern tip of the island. We're much, much drier than the southeastern side. So we don't experience that much rain in comparison. In the summer months, which is from November through to end of March, that's when the water's going to be a bit warmer. It's going to be around 80, 88 degrees, and it drops down in winter to around 78 Fahrenheit. Now, the winter months from April-ish through to the end of October, when it cools down. June, July, and August is when we have the coolest water temperatures, and it drops down as low as 25 degrees Celsius. I don't know exactly what that is in Fahrenheit, sorry.
Do you, one thing kind of Terry wanted to share was no current equals no open soft coral. So the fact that when you go a time of year that you have current, or if you have more current, it's the current going over the corals that have them open up, which give you those vibrant colors. So Terry wanted to kind of share that with you. And also somebody was asking about if you have bioluminescence ever, like do bioluminescence happen?
Yeah, we do. We don't have the equipment to do the dives with the filters and things, but we get them during the summer months typically. So if we're doing a night dive, you can literally be in the water, turn all your lights off, and you can wave your arms around, and all the plankton will light up for sure. Coming back from the night dive, when with all the lights off, you can see the prop wash is lit up like a highway. It's quite amazing, actually. That's typically during our summer months. We need really still waters.
And can you tell us a little bit about topside stuff to do away from diving?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the advantages of being a mainland property is we can get off-site. We've got access to Fiji's largest waterfall. In the top left of the screen is the Volivoli Ferry waterfall. It's a half-day tour. And if you look just above the N and the G in the word diving, there's actually a person there to give you an idea of the scale of that waterfall. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive to the village, where you'd go with our activities coordinator, Sonny, and meet the village, do a sevu sevu, which is like an offering to the villagers. And then it's a 20 to 40-minute hike, depending on your fitness, up to the waterfall, where you can walk around behind the water, you can swim, you can hang out there as long as you like, and then hike back to the village, where you would stop and have lunch before heading home. There's also complimentary use of the non-motorized water sports from the resort, so the kayaks and the paddleboards, etc. We then offer a guided river mangrove paddle, which can be done either on the kayaks, like you can see in the top right, or via paddleboard. That's a really nice activity to do on your dry day. Bottom left, you can see there, we do some amazing sunset cruises. I prefer to call them a booze cruise, that you happen to see the sunset as well. We've got really fortunate to have a resident pod of spinner dolphins, 25 minutes by boat. So we do those daily. There's also snorkel trips, there's island excursions. You can take a taxi into town, where you can go shopping for knickknacks, etc. There's a great municipal market in there, so you can see and immerse yourself in a little bit of the modern culture of Fiji.
Great, thank you. This isn't really a question, but I've got Rod Althouse. I'm sure you remember his name. He put something in the little chat box. So, Rod, if you could unmute your microphone, I'll let you give your message to Nick yourself. Oh, he doesn't have a working mic. Okay, so he wanted to thank you, and yeah, he got out of that one. He is here though, so he can hear you. But he said, "Hey Nick, New Wave Group wanted to thank you and your staff for an amazing trip. They were the last group to leave before the shutdown last month, and they look forward to seeing you in 2 years. And he's glad that your dad finished that keg of beer. Cheers."
Yes. Thank you, Rod. You and all of your customers were such a pleasure to have at the resort. We had a lot of fun and a couple of good hangovers. You know, it's pretty sad on your behalf, though, that Dad was able to accomplish what you weren't. To let everyone else know what that means, we had a bit of a joke.
Yeah, that's
Rod
a
and
good
his
wow.
Rod and his group like to entertain themselves post-diving with a couple of cleansing ales, and have experience in the past drinking resorts out of beer. And we're a family, a Kiwi family, and beer is pretty important to us. So we let them know that there's no way they could drink us out of beer. And funny as a play, just recently, and those of you who follow us on Facebook will have seen, even with a closed resort, my dad managed to drink the last keg of beer. So he's not very happy having to drink bottled beer. He likes his draft. Also, so Rod and the New Wave team had a bit of an experience getting back to the airport. They were on the last scheduled flight out of Fiji before the borders closed, and at which time Lautoka was on lockdown. So we were doing our absolute best, and we thought it was going to happen to get a military escort through the lockdown zone, which didn't come to fruition in the end. And the poor guys had to take a 9-hour bus ride right around the island to get back. And in fact, Rod, if you're still listening, I beat you to Nandi. I ended up having to, because I was on a flight the next day, I ended up having to take a boat, and I actually beat you guys there. So apologies for the long journey, guys.
Wow. Well, I know you did everything you could. It's a little bit on that story is we're saying one way or another we're going to get you to the airport, and we did, but Nick was on Messenger with me going through that and like, okay, just so you know, don't panic, but we're applying for a military escort. Because what had happened was they were there, when they got there were no cases in Fiji. And by the time they were done with their 10 days, there was the first ever reported case of Fiji. And the government basically shut down this whole region in the village that the case was in, and it happened to stop the group from being able to make the most direct transfer to the airport. So then Nick and his family had to apply for a military escort to get through that shut-off zone. And we were working on it and thought it was good. And I think when it first started happening, Rod and his group had just had their last dives and were quite happily drinking. And it's like, don't say anything to him till tomorrow. It's like, we're going to coordinate. And it's like, yeah, I think we got the military escort. No, we didn't. And the poor guys ended up having to drive 9 hours. But they made their flight and they were super. And Volivoli was excellent about keeping us in the loop and coordinated as well. So thank you for everything.
Yeah. Look, it's our pleasure, and like I said in the very early stages of the webinar, is that our customers are important to us, and as Deep Blue Adventures, as far as Deep Blue Adventures is concerned, all of you who are listening in who do business with Cheryl and the team, they really go above and beyond to make sure their customers are taken care of. Prior to the New Wave group, we had another group that got a little stranded, and fortunately we were able to help them out and salvage their holiday as well. And that was only through a lot of people putting a lot of time and effort in. Cheryl was up for, I think it was 48 hours working on that, because you as customers mean so much to them, and us as partners, equally as important, and we'll do everything we can at any time to make sure that we can accommodate your needs where possible.
It certainly shows. Thanks, Nick.
Look,
Nick,
guys,
do you have anything?
That's pretty much the end of.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was going to say, do you have any? Because before, I know people want to kind of go and we're running over, but I've got one little sort of announcement before everybody bails. So, Nick, I don't want to kind of, before you do, I want to make sure that you got to finish your presentation. So.
No, I've finished that now. I was just going to say, thank you very much for listening in. Sorry that the images weren't very clear through the presentation there. We'll maybe share that. Cheryl might be able to share that with you guys. Really appreciate it. Volivoli's not going anywhere. We're just in a holding pattern right now. We know as much as you do. It's a day-by-day, situation that we're in. But as soon as the borders are open, we've got the resort sitting customer ready. So it's literally phone the staff up, guys, we've got to get ready to go, and we're ready to go. So no matter how long this takes, we're not going anywhere. We're really looking forward to welcoming you guys back to Fiji, and I know that you're all going to need a holiday once all this is over.
Yeah, for sure. Nick, thank you so much. And by the way, Volley is, somebody else had kind of asked it and I answered you directly, but Volley is also working very closely with us as far as complete flexibility on new bookings. So if it is something you're able to put on your radar for 21, 22, the end of this year, what have you, somebody had asked, so I'm putting it out there. This is just another example of one of our amazing partners that are just recognizing the situation. They're in a situation of their own, trying to feed their own staff, their own families. They've got their own challenges that they're facing, but they're also very much aware of what their clients or the potential clients are facing too. So they're being very, very easy to work with and very flexible for future reservations and for our current customers too. But for anyone that is in a position to start dreaming about this stuff and actually making it real, they're yet another one that's just being awesome to work with during this time should things change. So I'm not going to keep you guys much longer. Nick, I really appreciate your time and hanging out with us and all the rest of it. I just really quick, I know it's a little bit off the cuff, but I've just unmuted everybody because I got a notice from Deborah that it's Ted Cole's birthday today. And Ted, we've never met before, but I have seen your name participating in questions and everything else. I'm not sure that you haven't been with us the whole 10 hours today. So you have spent your birthday with us, which I am truly honored about. So I took everybody off mute. And if you would like to, I can join me in wishing Ted a very happy birthday. And thank you for sharing it with us today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I'm not going to subject you to singing, Ted, but happy birthday and thanks again.
Okay, guys. Hey, look, thank you so much. I've just managed to click in and I can see all the comments there, so I'll have a read through. It really was my privilege to be able to speak to you guys today. You know, thanks for bearing with me. I hope you've enjoyed the day and really looking forward to working with you guys in the future.